I had to kind of comment on this whole thing. That I had a Thierry Henry interview that they were doing for Stick to Football, and he said something that was really profound about forwards, actually, but I thought it was really relevant for what's going on with Florian Wirtz and Liverpool and why he's a Liverpool target and why he's so different from any other target that we've had before and maybe any other midfielder that we've had before. But Thierry goes on and says that there's a lot of talk about complete forwards and things like that because they can do left foot, right foot, head, they have pace, they can hold up the ball, they're a complete forward. But then he goes on to say,
This is why I get annoyed when people say a player, especially a striker or a striker or forward, whatever. When people say, oh, he's complete. Can you press? If you can't press, you're not complete. People always talk about strikers on the ball. What do you mean on the ball? We all played. When you play away from home and a guy can press well and shield well, you played with Tevez, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Rooney was good at it.
That's what I'm saying, but people never mention that about the striker. They always said left foot, right foot, header is fast. No, what do you mean?
so you can't be a complete forward if you don't press the ball because that's not all of the game, right? That I mentioned before. Defense and putting pressure on the opposition is just as important, if not more important, especially in the modern game, than all of those things that I mentioned before. And I thought that was really astounding. He's talking about his time at Barcelona, where they pretty much came up with that pressing for the first 6-7 seconds to get the ball back. And people always talk about how Barcelona never gave the ball up, but they never talk about how they got it in the first place. And that's through relentless work ethic in the front line. And I think another facet, which I think is always talked about, but I don't think it gets enough credit, is the intelligence of the players that makes them complete. And I want to talk about that today about Florian Wirtz, because I think Florian might be the first complete midfielder that we've had at Liverpool since Steven Gerrard. And I may even add another fold into it because of what he can do on the ball as equal to what he can do off the ball, because we know how great Steven was off the ball, especially on the ball when he got space to hit. I don't think maybe Steven had that little bit of, I don't want to call it intelligence because he was a smart player, but a little bit of magic that comes off. Well, it comes off as magic, but it's actually football understanding and footballing intelligence. He still can do it all and is willing to do it all, because I think there's a lot of players can actually do it all, but aren't willing to do it all. If you look at some of these videos that I'll show you here, Florian actually prefers to play in between the lines, where most players, they actually shy away from being in between the lines. Most players will not go and put themselves in position where they're surrounded by 4 and 5 players at a time. But Florian, he actually looks for these spaces, which I find very interesting, especially for a player like him in that Iniesta and that Xavi mold, which I would say he honestly fits the most like, more so than a Steven Gerrard role. We could say Coutinho did this for us a little bit, but not to this degree where it was almost impossible to take the ball off of him. And you look at some of his duels and his duel win ratio, it's the second in all of Bundesliga, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the video about some of his stats. But this player looks for moments almost to give the ball away, if that makes sense. He looks for these moments. He checks rear, he checks to the left, taking mental photos of where everyone is on the pitch so they can be not 1 step ahead, not 2 steps ahead, but 3 steps ahead. And that is intelligence. It's the game. Thierry also talks about where he stopped just playing to play and he started thinking when he would play the game. And Florian has this in spades already at 22 years old. It took Thierry a long time to get to that point. You can see Mo Salah has finally gotten to that point as well this late in his career when he's 32 years old, where he stopped playing on instinct, but he's playing in thought. And Florian does the same thing. And he's done this at such a young age, which is absolutely terrifying, guys. And it shouldn't be understated. I like to call it weaponized intelligence, where you can stop, survey the entire field, and decide the best route to victory every single time, or route to a chance, or route to a goal every single time. He can almost do this at will. He almost can do this at will. I think his next stage is to be able to start doing this at will. And I think he can reach some absolutely insane levels. You can see that in Lamine Yamal as well at 17 years old, which is even more spooky. Desiree Doué, who I'll show you his stats in a little bit, they're almost identical to Florian. It's spooky how these young players are being able to understand the game at such a young age and being able to think 1, 2, 3, and 4 steps ahead, pulling players out of position the way that Florian does to create pathways to escape and opportunities to create chances where opposition is looking this way, Florian is actually thinking that way. And I don't think we've seen something like this in terms of the unpredictability and intelligence on the ball since Roberto Firmino has been at the club. But at this level, I'm not sure. Florian is a player that is thinking already and not playing like most of the young players are, where they have a chip on their shoulder and they have something to prove and they want to run at everybody and beat the man, which I think you need, which he does have in his back, by the way, in spades. But he also chooses when to do these things and when to pass the ball and when to finish the ball, and his intelligence, and on top of his work rate, which I think doesn't get enough credit, which I think is the one factor that most people aren't really bringing up enough in these video breakdowns of Florian and how he's going to fit into the team and things like that. I think he's special in that, right? I think he uses his athleticism and his intelligence to do what he wants on the pitch. And usually you have one or the other. Either you're a smart player and you're not insanely athletic, or you're athletic and you're not super duper smart. You're an instinctual player. Florian has both, which is really, really, really spooky. Most players, they act instead of think, where Florian is thinking. He pulls players left, he pulls players right, he moves them into positions that he wants them to be. It's almost the way that Jones, I think, thinks that he's playing, where he holds on to the ball a little bit too long. And Ryan, who also has that in his bag, who loves to hold on to the ball and escape away from tight spaces. But what's missing between from those two players, when they pull it off, it's beautiful, especially Jones and especially Ryan, when they can wriggle away from defenders, beat a man, win a duel, and then glide away majestically. It's when you release the ball is the most important thing. And Florian does this masterfully. The way that he's able to play in Jeremy Frimpong, who is now our wide back, speedy players like that, or a Milos Kerkez, or a Mohamed Salah, or a Cody Gakpo. It's going to be a thing of beauty. And he looks for those moments. Let's talk about his finishing. His finishing is also engineered by his intelligence and his understanding of the game of football as a whole, where everyone is waiting and ball watching. Florian is still scanning and watching and saying, okay, he's here. And I need to be here. Oh, he's moving. I'm going to stay here. Sometimes you don't even gotta move to create the space that you're looking for. And that's the hallmark of intelligence. It's these little simple things where you can see the entire field in your head and you're constantly looking and scanning. Where's your teammates? Where am I? Where's the defenders? Where are they moving? What direction are they going? Where do I think they'll probably be in the next 5 seconds? That creates spaces for Florian to finish as well as he does. His ball striking could use a little bit of work. I think it's there, and he has the potential to be a great distance shooter because he does score some good distance goals. But his ability to find himself in the right position at the right time creates a majority of his chances and his work rate. This is the thing I think that sets him apart from everyone else. He's a freaking dog. He's a dog. I think he's in the top 5 in sprints in all of Bundesliga. Covers some of the most ground. He's in the top. He's number 52 in all of Bundesliga in terms of ground covered as an attacking player. And your other signing is also in that top 50 as well. I think he's in the top 10. Jeremy Frimpong. It's that simple. I can't even find any videos of how hard he works. I'd have to watch a full game, but how hard he works in the opponent's half. And that's what Thierry is talking about. Can you press? Can you do the thankless task that's probably not going to end up in an action? but it puts pressure on the ball. It makes them make a mistake. It takes them out of their game plan where they have to pass it to someone they weren't intending to pass it or who didn't want to get on the ball. Do you understand tactics on a level that deeply that you know that some of these actions may not show up on the stat sheet? They may not show up on the score sheet, but you know that if I do these things, it leads to victory for my team or it leads to the execution of our game plan. And I think these are some of the conversations that Arne Slot has had with Florian Wirtz, and I think Florian loves it. I think Florian loves the thoughtful side of football. I think he loves knowing what the game plan is. What is the regime of this entire team? How do the tactics flow? And I think as a Xabi Alonso player, you have to understand that. You have to get those things. You have to be an intelligent player because he plays a very specific and unusual brand of football. So the fact that Arne Slot was able to convince this individual that Liverpool is the only choice outside of Bayern Munich, outside of Real Madrid, which I'm sure Xabi Alonso tried to get him there, outside of Manchester City with Pep Guardiola, the guy who invented all of these tactics, is impressive. And there has to be something that Arne Slot is cooking up that we're not even ready for, guys. So I'm extremely excited about this signing. I'm extremely excited about Florian, but he works insanely, insanely hard in that final third. And I think Arne Slot understands this and he wants that. You look at Luis Enrique's PSG side with Desiree Doué and Dembele and Kvaratskhelia and Bradley Barcola, all four of those forwards, all of those guys that we are really excited about work their ass off. And we know that that's a non-negotiable for Luis Enrique. I'm sure all of you have seen that famous Kylian Mbappe snippet where he's like, if you want to be Michael Jordan, you need to have balls like Michael Jordan. You need to grab your team by the scruff of the neck and you need to set the standard that I'm defending first. I'm leading from the front. And it's true. Mike had that dog in him. Defensive player of the year, he locked in. He was tired of losing because he knew that I can't just be an offensive player. I got to also lead from the front in defense. And then I got to show the rest of my guys who look at me as the best player on the team, who look at me as a footballing god, and show them that I do this too. I put in work too. And I think that's the thing that Arne Slot loves about Florian Wirtz, is that not only is he magisterial and mercurial on the ball, and he glides and floats, and it looks unreal. And how did he do that? He also runs the defense ragged and never gets tired. And apart from that big knee injury, he's come back bulletproof. He works his ass off. His conditioning is insane. He strengthens that body. But here are some of the comparisons. All the guys that you are really excited about right now in world football, he's almost exactly like them or better. Michael Elise is on that list. Desiree Doué is on that list. Ryan Cherki is on that list, who we also could potentially be in for. We'll see. Lamine Yamal is on that list in terms of comparison. Musiala, Kavicha Kvaratskhelia, all these players. Dembele is number 10 down there. All these players that you want, you are lit about right now. These are Ballon d'Or conversation players. Florian Wirtz is almost identical to them in terms of his stats. Unbelievable player. Boom. We'll put these ones up here too. This is the percentiles he's in all these departments. Top class talent. And these are the types of signings that we need as Liverpool Football Club. Get excited about Florian. Get pumped about this boy. Because I think this marks a turning point in the type of targets that we go after, especially because we have a new manager, right? I know it's like, this isn't like Liverpool. We've only really had like 3-4 managers in all of the Premier League history, and one we've had for the past 10 years. It's not unlike Liverpool. It's just unlike Jurgen. It's just unlike the last manager. We can't say we're a specific way when we've only really had one good manager in the past 10 years, right? We're just used to the Jurgen way. This is the Arne way, and it's spooky. So, what does this all mean? As a Liverpool fan, be excited. He can be whatever we need him to be. Florian can. Don't get all caught up in the beautiful edits because they are freaking beautiful. His pretty feet, the way he glides in and out of defenses, the goals, the passes, the jaw-dropping passes. Don't be confused. Florian can do anything that you need him to do, and he can do it well and is willing to do it that way. This is about football heritage for him. He's taken a pay cut to come here, to come to Liverpool FC. What Arne explained to him, maybe a little bit of what I said today, the tactics of football, the thought of football is what attracts Florian. He is a football theologian, and so is Arne Slot, and they potentially could be a match made in heaven. Let me know what you guys think down below. Who do we add to the list to complement Florian in his abilities? I'm going to go over what I think the starting 11 could look like later this week, who I think complements Florian. Put some suggestions down below. And while you're down there, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Just got back off of vacation. Thanks for giving me some grace and some space to recoup, recharge, and then we can go back at this all summer long, baby. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.